You are listening to The Plot with a Twist, a Burning Hallows production. We are your bookish hosts, Alora, and
Row.
if you like what you hear, please like, share, subscribe, and give us a quick review on your podcast or YouTube app. It helps us become more visible to other bibliomaniacs. We publish bookish episodes each week on Wednesdays, so be sure to stay tuned for discussions and attitudes that are lit.
The Empyrean Series by Rebecca Yarros has amassed a cult following worldwide. With 3 books out in the series, we are currently in a devastating chokehold on what Violet and the rest of the Quest Squad gang are up against. Onyx Storm has left us with more questions than answers and more theories than you can poke a stick at. Today, we are jumping down that rabbit hole with Alice. We are having the tea party, we are eating the shrooms, and we are discussing fan theories. Mix your drink and grab your list. Fan theories, the acceptable, the extraordinary, and the downright ridiculous. Warning. This episode will contain spoilers, so if you have not read the Empyrean series, we recommend completing the series before listening to this episode.
We're back. Woo! After the sickness knocked us both down
Oh
in the
my
same
God.
week.
I'm sick again.
How's that possible?
I don't actually think I fully recovered.
Did you have COVID and then get rhinovirus?
Well, no, I didn't have, none of it was COVID. So I don't know.
Mm.
I don't know what this is, but it's some bullshit. I'm not going to lie.
Today
Well,
might perk you up. This is interesting because this is
Shut up.
something we've said we wouldn't do.
Mainly because I said I would never do it. I'm like, I'm not doing fan theories. Fan theories are stupid.
Okay, so why are we discussing fan theories today?
Because I feel like I need to do a reread. So I had a couple of theories pop up on my feed on TikTok, and I was like, oh, that's a good theory. And then I kind of went, hang on a minute. I'm gonna do a little bit more research. So I looked, and then I went down a rabbit hole, and I was like, hey, we should do an episode.
I think it's because we've been peer pressured to do it.
We've 100% been peer pressure.
But it's also fun to try and see if you can envision where a story is going, particularly if it is one that leaves you with more questions than answers.
I also think it's good when you're having these discussions because obviously you're talking about the book, you're enjoying yourself and everything, and I feel like it brings everyone together. You get those theories where you're like, come on, wait, did we read the same book? But then you also get those theories where and I had a few yesterday when I was doing some research, I was like, oh my God, that could work. That might happen.
For anybody who's listening, we love doing this in private amongst ourselves, but we don't really put it out into the interwebs because sometimes I think fan theories take over and I don't want to be part of the pool that influences an author to change anything they've written just to do fan service.
I think with Rebecca, I don't think that's going to happen.
No, I don't think so either. But there are authors where I feel like they absolutely would do that.
Yes. Yes, there are authors that will 100% change the narrative to suit the fans because obviously you don't want to disappoint your fans, but I don't think Rebecca's one of those. There's a theory, and you'll probably know the one I'm talking about, but we'll discuss it later. But there's a theory, and she's come out and said, no, it's not happening. It's not going to get over it. And people are still holding on to that.
And you know what? Sometimes I don't want to theorize because I love it when I'm taken off guard by a really good book where I can't pick it.
Yeah.
And theorizing just like when you do pick it, you're like, oh, yeah, I picked it. You know what I mean? Instead of being like, oh my God.
I don't get like that. I get the whole, oh, I was fucking right. I was right. Yep. I'm that good.
Oh, I was like, that was Sunrise though.
Yeah, I know.
I was like, I picked this from the beginning. I told you. That was fun.
And I did have to, I had to go, damn it, she was bloody right. All right. What do you think makes readers head down the fan theory path? The only reason I'm asking this question is because sometimes we go right down the path, right? Like, and some of these theories were so in depth that I was like, how many times have you read the book?
It's like the meme with the guy with the cork board and all the red string and
Yes.
yeah. And he's smoking a cigarette and his hair is like everywhere. That meme always makes me laugh because it makes
I
me think of this.
I was 100% going, what? I've only read the books once. Oh, I haven't
Mm.
had time to reread them. How many times have you read them to come up? And there was tabs and everything. And I was like, damn.
Aside from vibes and loving a book, right? I think intricate plots,
Mm.
love of characters, and intrigue and mystery that leave more questions than answers are the reasons why people deep dive down a rabbit hole.
I think it's also got a lot to do with how well the book is received, right? So if the book's extremely well received, then a lot of people are attached to the story in and of itself. This is going to show my age. It's like when we used to have to watch a TV series 1 week at a time. Do you remember that?
I remember that. And now I refuse to watch a series until it's all released.
And
Like, I
then
can't wait.
and then you'd get to that cliffhanger, right? You'd get to that cliffhanger moment at the end of the series and you're like, what the fuck? What do you mean? What do you mean she just got blown up? And I have to wait. You had to wait like 6 months.
I remember that with watching Game of Thrones
Oh, see,
because because I watched that as it was released and it was
Yeah.
weekly. You know, so every week I'd be like, "Oh,
What? Yes. What do you mean? And that's what it is with the books, right? So because you're only getting one every 2 to 3 years at this rate, I think it's every 2 years she's given us one, hasn't she? No, the first two were quite quick. It was one year, one was released, Fourth Ring was released, and then I think Iron Flame came the year after.
yeah."
But then we had the 2 year wait. So you're sitting there for that whole entire time going, okay, Rebecca, I've had enough now. All right. So we've broken this down into a few parts. So we did theories. Now, I don't know how you've done yours, but I've done mine as theories that I've gotten off the net.
Oh, I didn't go that in depth with it.
Well, I broke mine down.
Yeah, so some of them I did get off the net, but I'll tell you which ones those are. Most of these just popped out of my head.
Okay, so I've got mine broken down into 3 categories. So you let me know when you do one of your own, and then I'll match it.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, it's not a theory of my own. These are just like the theories come from the questions that remain, right?
Okay.
So the first one that I have down is who is the brother that is now the Venin?
And who do you think it is?
Okay. Strap in.
I'm strapped. I just did my seatbelt up.
Okay. So according to Rebecca, the brother is somebody that is missing in the last scene. In the last scene, Garrick, Bodhi, Arik, and Riddick are not present. And there are 4 missing riders. Garrick is so weak, he says he can barely walk, so he'd better find a way to do something. So with him missing, it's possible he's the Venin, as it could be the only way that he could have gained physical strength. Bodhi's dragon is injured and down as Imogen sees him retching on the ground with his hands on the ground. So this could have been him pulling from the ground, turned Venin. However, Xaden says, how could he do this, choose this, after watching me stumble and fall over the last 5 months? How could he willingly walk the path I've fought like hell to leave? He's the last person I ever would have expected to turn, and yet here we are. So who has been on the quest squad and the most vocal about hating what Xaden has become?
Who?
Riddick.
Riddick didn't know until the Irids told him. He had no idea.
No, but once he found out, that
That was it.
whole tongue lashing.
Yeah, but that was just before the battle.
Hold on. However,
Laura, I'm not discussing this.
hold on. I'm not sold on it being Riddick. I'm just positing theories here.
Okay.
However,
Your theory sucks.
Auric is the one that receives a cracked mirror from Zenal, the god
Yes.
of luck, and it cuts his thumb, which, if you look at symbolism, this is like a shattered identity, something dangerous, duplicitous within himself that he's going to have to face. So it could be Auric as well.
It's Bodhi.
You think it's Bodhi?
It's 100% Bodhi. It has to be Bodhi. Look, if she did, Arik doesn't make any sense, okay? Because they need him currently. Like, he's got a bigger part to play on their side than the Venin side. So I think that's out. Garrick, we know, was with Imogen. Yes, he wasn't in the last couple of scenes, but he was with Imogen and he was screwed. Riddick, look, if she did Riddick, it would be
Emotional damage.
emotional damage, but fuck, it'd be good, right? Like, let's be honest. If you wanted to engage your readers and twist everything and have them on the edge of their seats, Riddick would do it. Riddick would 100% do it.
I'll come back to the leanings I have towards it being Riddick when we get to another theory about the gifts of Zenal.
I have one of those. So for me, it's 100% Bodhi because Xaden called him a brother. No, Theophany called him a brother. And Bodhi's been like a brother to him. So for me, it's Bodhi wasn't in the last scene. His dragon's, is it Karth? Oh, I'm going to pronounce it wrong. Anyway, his dragon's injured, dying. Bodhi's on the ground vomiting. So for me, it's 100% Bodhi. But I think if she decided to rip our hearts out, Riddick would do it. The others, I think, just don't have enough pull. I went and had a little bit of a dive through the internet to see what everyone else is saying. And so I've actually got some from other people. And I put this one in because he made me laugh. But this is from the Social Geeks on TikTok. And he's like, Violet's a Horcrux.
What?
So he's a very big Harry Potter fan. But he's like Xaden's soul, that last piece. Because at the end, you know, his love for Violet is that last thing. And he's like, no, you can't have that. You can have everything else. But you can't have that. He's like, that part of Xaden's soul's in the ring, and Sloane's going to be the siphon that pulls out all the venom from him. And I was like, yeah, you know what? That's not a bad idea. It's not a bad idea. It's something so simple that they haven't actually looked into.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I subscribe to it, but I could see it as a possibility.
So the reason I've got it there is I think that Violet does have that last piece of Xaden's soul. Not that she had, like, not that she's physically holding it. Not that the ring's a fucking Horcrux. Because I'm telling you right now, Rebecca, no, absolutely not. We're not going to do that. Okay. Come on, we're super, super, super close to Vampire Academy. Let's not do that. 1, 2. I think it's that part of his soul is attached to Violet through the bond. That's why it's not actually in Violet. It's not in the ring. Xaden still has it. It's still in here, but it's attached to Violet through their bond.
But their bond is gone. The bond is broken by the end of Onyx Storm.
No, we assume it's broken. We're all assuming that Andarna severed the bond between Sigale and Tarn.
No, I don't think that at all. I think
You don't think that?
I think Sigale severed the bond.
Sigale can't sever the bond. How could Sigale sever the bond?
Yes, she can.
How?
Because it's explained that when dragons are bonded, they can choose to accept it or not.
But she's already accepted it.
But it doesn't mean that it's unendable.
I think the more likely is that Andarna ended because she can create and break bonds. She's an Irid.
Maybe. I don't know.
That's my theory, is that she broke the bond between Sigale and Tarn.
But why?
So that Sigale could go with Xaden. They can't be apart. Sigale and Tarn can't be apart for more than like 3 days, or it gets physically painful for them. So if there's no bond, then they can be apart.
But it's also interesting too, because Sigale's still not exactly happy with Xaden's choices.
No, she's not.
No.
Which is fair.
Well, yeah. 100%.
But I think Sloane being a siphon and maybe siphoning the venom from Xaden might work.
Maybe.
I just thought that was a good. I just liked the way he was so passionate. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to put it down.
She's a Horcrux. That's
He was like,
funny.
she's a Horcrux. And I was like, whoa. Calm down, dude.
All right. Next up, who took the dragon eggs?
So I actually think, so I don't really have a theory on this one, but I actually think it's Sawyer or Garrick.
Okay. Garrick is a distance wielder, but he uses so much power in the last scene. I don't know if he could distance walk that,
Yeah.
but he was given the rusted bucket by Zanal, which could be a symbol of carrying the burden of something ancient. So that kind of tracks.
Mm-hmm.
Bodhi's dragon is down, and he's also depleted after the fight with Theophany. So I don't think that he's a candidate at all. Auric is probably the one that makes the most sense because he's a precog and can see future events. So my guess is he took the eggs to the island that was promised to them, but never got them because he knows that they're going to need allies.
Yeah, I think, me personally, I think it was Garrick, only because Garrick knows everything that's going on. For me, Arik is not, he's got a bigger part to play, and I don't think it's doing stuff like that.
I don't know. We'll see. Okay,
All right.
your next one.
So my next one actually comes to us from Sir Riddick.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah!
Shout out.
Shout out to our friend Sir Riddick. And it's that Dane will be able to bring back Violet's lost memories.
Possibly, yes.
Mm.
I, however, really subscribe to the fact that I think Dane and Sloane are a pair, but they don't know it yet.
So he went on to say, and this was just in a comment on someone else's, I was scrolling in the comment section of someone else's post and I saw him come up and I read it and I was like, oh my God, yes, because Dane's skill isn't fully developed yet. And then Sloane, when Sloane was siphoning from Dane to Brennen, she said, someone like you shouldn't have this much power.
Yeah.
And I was like, that could work. If Dane's only barely tapped into his skill
but also with that particular scene as well, maybe Dane only has that much power when paired with Sloane, who can siphon. That's my theory. Like, I think that they have to work together.
See, the interesting, because Dane's fully on his redemption arc.
100%. We'll get to that in a minute because that's a whole other. That's a whole other thing.
Well, because a lot of other people were saying, well, Dane doesn't need to do it because Tarn can do it. Because there was that scene in Fourth Wing where she was like, can you see my memories? And he said, yes. The problem I see with that is that she could remember. So she can bring it up in her mind, Tarn can see it, and then Tarn can show the other dragons. Currently, she can't bring anything up because she can't remember it. Imogen wiped them. So they're not there. Well, they're there, but she can't remember them. If you have Sloane and Dane together, maybe he could rifle through older memories.
Yeah, that's my theory on that.
But yeah, I was like, shout out to Sir Riddick.
The next one on my list is, why did Violet make Imogen wipe her memories? What's the whole story there?
I'm not sure about that one either. Okay, and here's why for me with that one. She can find him anyway. So what's she exactly protecting?
One of the things I have down is that she knows who took the eggs and who turned Venin. So she's protecting those things, that knowledge. And then something that everybody's subscribing to that I have to put on the ridiculous end because I absolutely will rage if this is the case. But I think Rebecca's come out and said that's not the case. But everybody was saying that Violet's pregnant. And I'm like, no.
She's come out and said no.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure she did.
Yeah, she came out and said there's no way that Violet would bring a baby into the world as it is. And I was like, fair. Thank fuck.
Yeah, because I was at first I was like, oh, this can't be happening.
Could you remember when we did our Onyx Storm episode and I was like, I had a breakdown. I had an absolutely, if you haven't listened to that episode, go back. At the end of our spoiler portion of Onyx Storm episode, I had an absolute mental breakdown because I was like, don't you can Dare make her pregnant? Don't you do it. I'm like, oh my. And then we went through a couple of fan theories and I was like, oh my God, she's pregnant. Damn it.
Yeah, because of her being sick and all that.
Yes, and her sickness got worse, and so did her dizziness, and blah, blah, blah from each book. But Rebecca came out and said, no, she's not. No, I went, oh, thank God.
Yeah. Thank you for not putting one of the most hated tropes into this
Yeah.
book.
Please don't use that. Please don't use that plot line. No one likes it anymore.
Oh, gosh. Okay. Your next one?
All right. So this one also comes from Soul Shade. So these are literally all off TikTok, right? So I thought I'd shout them out. But another reason I put this in there because I was like, damn, that'd be heavy. Violet and Xaden will die in the end because Xaden said that they will meet Malik together and that Rebecca Yarros is a heavy on foreshadowing. And I was like, that'd suck, but at the same time, wow.
Yeah, and I also subscribe to the theory that this entire series is Justinia's writings being told to Sloane and Dane's son Liam.
Sloane and Dane or Xaden and Violet's?
Nope.
Sloane and Dane's.
Yeah. Because
that's new.
Because Xaden and Violet meet Malik together.
Maybe in old age. At the ripe old age of like 90, they go together.
Oh, I thought you were going to say ripe old age of 19. I was like, well, I think they're past 19, but.
No, at the ripe old age of 90, they can go together. Sloane and well, I mean, that'd work, right? It'd work.
Yeah.
Then why isn't Sloane and Dane telling the story?
Who says they're not?
You just said it was Justinia writing it all down.
All of this is from Justinia's writings. There's actually a passage.
We 100% have to do it. Do you understand?
But it's hold on. It's actually at the beginning of Fourth Wing, as a matter of fact. Hold on one second.
She's going to get evidence.
Because it's at the very beginning of Fourth Wing. The following text has been faithfully transcribed from Navarian into the modern language by Justinia Neilwart, curator of the Scribe Quadrant at Basgiath War College. All events are true and names have been preserved to honor the courage of those fallen. May their souls be commended to Malik. That's the very beginning of Fourth Wing. So this is all Justinia's writings. Who's actually telling the story? I don't think we're going to find out till the end of the series.
Look, I wouldn't be 100% disappointed. I mean, I would because, you know, we want them to survive. We want them to have a long, happy life. We want the HEA, right? We want the happily ever after. So I want it, but at the same time, I would very much be like, damn, well done.
Yeah, same.
A bit like the end of Divergent.
No.
Yes, I know we disagree on this, but yes, I would be like, as long as. No, see, here's the thing, right? She has said that Violet and Xaden are endgame. They are endgame. If they die, it's not really endgame. I mean, it's ended.
Well, the game is done.
No, yeah, but that's not what endgame. You know what endgame means.
Yeah, but when an author says these two characters are endgame, in my mind, it means they don't have other love interests outside of that. That's it. It doesn't mean that that's the happily ever after at the end of the book.
Then she can write a sixth book, and I want it from like. Did
you just say I want it from Malik's perspective?
Yeah, and I want to see that they're living happily ever after in the afterlife.
Oh, with Tarn and Sigale, because they will die too.
Well, yeah, they would probably die. If there's no way that Xaden and Violet are going to leave, like Tarn and Sigale would leave Xaden and Violet. I just don't think they would.
No.
Okay, so my next one is from Carrie, and she reckons that the imbalance was that they're channeling, like that people channeled from the earth and not from the sky. So we know that Violet her signet is just pure power.
Yeah.
It's not lightning, it's not storm, it's just pure power. So she's saying the imbalance is that instead of everyone wielding from the sky, they pulled from the ground. And I was like, interesting.
Mm,
I was like, that's an
maybe, but
interesting concept.
while that's an interesting concept, I don't know how you have an earth wielding signet that is super rare and call that not an earth bound signet. You know what I mean?
No, I think what she's saying is that the original power comes from the sky because they're flying on dragons. So the fact that the issue started when someone pulled from the earth. So
Mm,
you could enhance what she's saying is you could enhance your power if you pulled from the sky and not from the earth.
yeah, maybe.
Anyway, I thought it was an interesting concept. And I was like, oh, thinking outside the box.
Okay. This one is we're going back to Iron Flame.
Ooh.
That Liam was actually with Violet during her torture and he was not a hallucination.
He was not a hallucination. I don't care what anyone says.
No, I'm with you on this.
He's not a hallucination.
So if Violet was blessed by all the gods, she would have been a devotee of Malik. And it's possible as well with her intrinsic signet that she can talk to spirit in that instance.
I 100% think that Liam was there and whether he was sent by Malik, whether she brought him, I don't, either way, he was there in spirit with her.
The
He was
only
100% there.
the only other side of this coin that makes me question it is if her father's been dead for years, why hasn't his spirit talked to her? When her mother dies, why doesn't her mother's spirit talk to her? Do you know what I'm saying?
Because she didn't need them at the time. Who was her protector?
Yeah, but
It was Liam.
yeah, for what, 1 year, half a year?
It doesn't matter. Her mum wasn't her protector. Well, her mum was her protector, but she went about it in the wrong way. Her dad, he was her information. He was her scribe. He was giving her all the tools that she needed to figure everything out. Liam was the one that had her back. He was there to keep her safe physically, right? She's getting absolutely destroyed in that interrogation. Her body's broken. Her spirit was almost broken. Her mind's almost broken. She's been dedicated to June, and he was like, you need your protector. And her protector was Liam. Because we know this, because he even says to Riddick, guard her like you're me. I personally, he was 100%. I don't care what anyone says. He was freaking there.
Okay,
He was there.
your next one.
So my next one comes from April, May, June. And this one, I don't know if you've ever thought of this, Alora, but this one I was like, holy shit, that would make sense and I'm acceptable with that. So do you remember when Andarna left and we were all devastated?
Yes. I have it.
Okay.
Dude, I have 3 tabs in Onyx Storm, and that's one of them was when she leaves because I was so upset.
Okay, wait. And then we all kind of went, why did you come back so quickly? That makes no fucking sense. Yes?
So you think that she cloaked herself and
No.
followed her the whole time?
No. So and I was like, oh my God, this theory works. When Andarna went away, she manipulated time. So we know that Andarna can stop time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what felt like days or weeks or whatever it was for Violet, for Andarna was years because she comes back different. Do you remember when she came out of the shadows and all of a sudden there was that rippling and Andarna was there and she was not the same? Violet was like, oh my God, it's Andarna. She wasn't the same dragon.
Yeah, that does make sense.
Yeah, I was like, because I remember talking to you going, why would she go away for like, I didn't even know how long it was for.
Yeah, it was only
It was weeks at
a couple of
max.
weeks. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, you kind of found out shit in that time. You severed the bond with Violet, knowing the absolute devastation and pain that it would cause her. And then you came back 2 minutes later, basically. What was the point in that, Andarna? You had a change of conscience? No, it didn't make any sense to me. But this, I was like, ooh, nice. Would help, right? Because then Andarna has answers.
Yes.
So I was like, I like that one. That one's good.
Okay. Violet is blessed by Dune and all the rest of the gods. I think this is absolutely plausible, given that she's got silver hair. I actually think that this is a big reason why Mama Sorengale had a huge resentment where Violet's father was concerned
I agree.
because she didn't want the gods to have their hands on her kid.
I 100% agree with that. I think that Mama Sorengale was pissed as shit at her husband. I think she was so mad about the fact that, and I get it, he tried, Violet was unwell. She had all these problems that he wanted to fix. But at the same time, I was just kind of like, I get it. Because he's gone and done something that is irreversible and she wants to protect her daughter. So
Yeah.
I agree.
Yes. Okay, your
So
next one.
my next one is from Rory 7.3. And this is where I was like, ooh. But it sounds like you've thought about half this stuff anyway. But the items from the Lost Isle are to help
Mm.
with the journey.
Okay. All right. So this is one that I did get off the internet. Let's see if I can.
Well, so I don't agree with some of the stuff, but I was like, oh, that works out, right? So the compass will point Violet to Xaden. And I'm like, I don't agree with that. I think it might point Violet somewhere else to something that they need or information or something like that, but it's not going to point to Xaden because she can 100% find him. She's a mind walker.
So we're going to go over these one by one because this is a whole article from EmpyreanWriters.com
Okay.
where it's detailed out. So Mira received wine.
Yeah.
Wine often represents pleasure, celebration, indulgence, and truth.
Okay.
This could indicate that Mira needs to either embrace joy or be wary of hidden truths. In mythology, it's connected to Dionysian figures, gods of chaos, revelry, and madness.
Okay. Didn't she go and see like Grandma? We don't know if it's Grandma Sorengale or Grandma something else and find out some truths.
Yes.
Yes.
This
Okay.
could also mean Mira is being asked to let go of control, which is something she's so deeply
She
like
very much, she should try and do that.
right. Given her connection to Drake, this could signal a need to embrace love and passion rather than always carrying the burden of leadership. I think that's cute.
I'd like that for Mira.
Okay, Marin got 2 orange tunics.
Yes.
Orange is the color of warmth, energy, and transformation. Tunics suggest identity, status, or a role they must play. The number 2 hints at duality of choice. Marin could be facing a major decision or dual identity, perhaps choosing between 2 paths, 2 allegiances, or 2 versions of herself. Foreshadowing, could this suggest that she will become Venin or will switch allegiances or
See, I feel like the quest squad has to use all of these things to get to the answer that is why everything is so screwed up at the moment.
okay, Dane picked a card with a hand symbol.
And he got slapped.
And he immediately got slapped, right?
And we were all like, woo!
So a slap in the face is a wake up call. It's humiliating. It's forced awareness. So this is like, it's also a common sign. This is what the article says. It's also a common sign of karmic retribution. But I think that this is him being smacked awake for a redemption arc, which we kind of start getting a glimpse of when he realizes his dad is a POS.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's what that one means. Garrick was given a rusted steel bucket. So a bucket is meant to carry things, but this one is rusted, suggesting decay, neglect, burdens, or something becoming too heavy. Garrick may be holding on to something that is no longer useful, or he might have to work with flawed or incomplete resources. Steel is strong, but rust weakens it. Rust forms when metal is exposed to the elements for too long without protection, meaning the bucket is something forgotten or abandoned.
See, I feel like all of these things are going to be used in the quest.
hold on.
Because,
I'm not
okay.
done. Or it could be foreshadowing to a literal journey to something ancient and corroded, like a sunken ship, ruins, lost artifacts, etc. Okay, go.
Okay, can I go now? I feel like all these objects, all these things are going to be used in with the quest squad to try and find whether it be help, the reason why everything started. Because I feel like, and look, a lot of people have said it, even Rebecca Yarros has said it herself, that everything is not as it seems, that even the dragons have been lying.
Mm.
So I feel like there's a massive piece of information we're missing, and Violet and the gang, the quest squad, are going to have to go and find it. And I think all of those things that they were given on that isle are going to be there to help or influence or help them understand where they need to go next, what needs to happen.
So
That's
Arik
my theory.
Arik receives a fractured hand mirror, which immediately cuts
Yes.
his thumb. So mirrors represent self-reflection, perception, truth. A fractured mirror suggests broken identity, hidden truths, self-deception. The fact that it immediately cuts him means the truth is going to be painful to confront.
Yeah.
Deeper meaning, Arik may have to face a part of himself he's been avoiding. This could be a literal memory, a secret about his past, or even something about his lineage.
Or the fact that he probably needs to step up and rule because his family sucks
I know, and he doesn't want to.
and he has no desire.
If Malik is involved in the next book, maybe the cut signifies a blood tie or oath binding, which could be interesting. Xaden was gifted an empty glass box with pewter hinges and edges. Do you remember that?
I do.
Okay. Glass box is meant to hold something precious. This one's empty, implying potential, a missing piece, or a task left unfinished. Pewter is a mix of metals, often duller and less valuable than gold or silver, suggesting something hidden or underestimated. And then the author of the article says, my theory, maybe it's meant to collect something like pieces of a soul. Given the series' exploration of power, sacrifice, and the gods, maybe Xaden is supposed to fill the box with something crucial, like memories, energy, or even soul fragments.
Yeah, that would work.
Okay, Violet drew a broken compass on a dark chain, which didn't point north. A compass usually represents guidance and destiny, but this one doesn't point north, meaning Violet's path is uncertain or she must forge her own way. The dark chain could symbolize a tether to something unseen or a burden she carries, i.e., Xaden.
Well, Xaden.
And then the author says, my theory, does this lead Violet to Malik? This would make perfect sense. If the compass is meant to guide her to something, but it's broken, maybe she has to repair it, reforge it, or learn a new way to read it, which could tie into dream walking.
I honestly, when I read that part, I honestly went straight to Pirates of the Caribbean. And Jack Sparrow and his compass, it doesn't point north.
Oh, I have a jar of dirt. I have a jar of dirt. Okay, so
Guess what's inside it?
okay, Kat received a gold necklace with a dangling ruby the size of a thumb. So
Yeah, that's called Get a Heart.
gold represents wealth, power, and status, while rubies symbolize passion, danger, or even blood. Necklaces are ornaments, but also chains, meaning she's being adorned with something valuable, yet possibly constrained by it. So the author's theories on this is that it may represent Moraine, seeing as we saw the Duchess of Moraine wearing a ruby in Onyx Storm. If Kat was pursuing one form of power but is given another, this could indicate she will become something greater or more dangerous than expected, maybe even Venin, so that she can truly try to be with Xaden.
No, I don't think so. She'd moved on. She'd finally, that was why we were all so sad. Because I was like, oh, she finally decided to move on.
But now, who knows?
Nah, I don't think so. But yeah, okay.
Traeger gets an arrow, which kills him immediately.
Poor bastard.
Yeah, we won't go into that because I mean, what's the point? And then Riddick. Do you remember what he gets?
I don't.
He gets a kiss.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. So a kiss can mean a blessing, fortune, or favor. if Riddick was already shown to have unusual luck, like only needing to sew instead of being stabbed, this could confirm that he has divine protection or is meant to fulfill an important role. If this came from the god of luck, then Riddick might become a key figure in future events, surviving situations that should have killed him.
Well, I was about to say, when did they visit Zanal, and then when did they visit stupid bloody Mrs. Royerson's Isle? Was it before or after?
I can't remember.
Because one of the ridiculous theories is that Riddick is Venin.
Riddick is not.
He's not
be.
Venin.
He could be.
More now, maybe. All right, I'll give you now, maybe at the end of Sonic Onyx Storm, because yes, he wasn't there. Fine.
But
But not
before that,
before it.
no.
No. Because that's one of the ridiculous theories that I've got down in my ridiculous section. But because everyone's like, oh, but he actually got stabbed and he didn't bleed because, Jack Barlow said initiates don't bleed. Well, hang on, what order? I'm Googling. Wait. Because what if, as you said, he was given that kiss to save him?
Perhaps. The answer to your question is no.
No, what?
They did not visit Zanal before visiting Xaden's mother.
Damn. Well, there's that one in the butt.
And finally, Drake Cordella is gifted an orange kitten named Broccoli.
Broccoli!
Broccoli. Yeah. So orange kittens are another symbol of good luck and joy. And I think this has to do with maybe not Kat, but maybe her sister is going to get unalived.
Okay.
And then he's going to need a comfort animal so that he doesn't become like Kat.
Fair. That's fair.
Okay.
Okay, so my next one is from Key Kegel, and it is that the fight is over the Irids. So, you know how the three original brothers, one got a griffin, one got a dragon, and the other one got pissed because he got nothing.
Yes.
So, this theory is that the fight is over the Irids. It's over the magic, because if you control the Irids, then you control the continent.
That could work.
And that the thing that Andarna, so that they gave her, because the Irids have no alliance to anyone. They're on their own. They're by themselves. They don't care. They left Andarna there so that she could be raised and it could all be fixed and fuck off. Nobody cares about that, you morons. But
I have so many problems with that part of the book because
I was so mad, hey, reading that. I was like, you've got to be joking. You're angry at her because of the way she's grown up, the dragon that she's become, because she's embraced being like Tarn. She was raised by Tarn. You left her there. What did you think was going to happen? And it wasn't even fixed when you left. So
did you magically think she was going to raise herself to be Kumbaya?
Yeah, what kind of moronic thinking is that, you idiots? I hate the Irids. I personally hate them all, except for...
I don't know. I do not like most of them, but that one.
Oh, the one guy that came back. Yeah, because Andarna's from his den.
Yeah. I think he has a soft spot for her.
When that Irid dragon said you gave her something way more dangerous, it wasn't dreamwalking. It wasn't even stopping time. It was Andarna's loyalty.
Well, she didn't even know what she was.
I agree, because the Irids are dumb as fuck.
See, this is what I mean. This is like...
Great parenting there.
Oh.
We'll blame everybody else for our shit decisions. Yeah. But I was like, that could work, because, they can break bonds. They can create bonds. You don't see them coming. They can basically decide to be and look however they want, right? Mm. They have got power unbeknownst to all the other dragons. So maybe, and they are the 7th dragon breed. So maybe it was for control of them.
I can see it. Okay, I only have one left that we haven't
really. I have a few of my own.
Well, I have more down further, but in this portion of our...
Well, that was my last one, so go with yours.
Balancing the balance.
Okay.
So...
Talk me through it.
In order to find a cure for the Venin, there must be 7 Venin that balance the 7 special riders or special signets, for example. And when I say 7, it's because, all the reference to the 6 dragons and all this stuff.
Yep.
When there's really 7.
When there's really 7.
Okay.
There's
So
also 7. Go. No, go.
there's also
I'll hold
7
it.
what?
There's also 7 like continents or isles. So there's the 6 isles. And if you include Navarre, it's 7.
Yes. Okay. I don't know about the Venin per se, except for Xaden and whoever else is turned with him. So those two
Yep.
probably will be instrumental. So on the opposite side of the field with the riders, so it'll be Violet because she's an intrinsic and she's pure power and she bonded Andarna. So
Yes.
she's automatically like super special. We got that. Auric, because he's a precog and he's on a blue dragon. Because Xaden no longer qualifies because he's Venin. So
Yep,
Sigale
he's
no longer qualifies.
She doesn't count. Yep.
Garrick, because he can distance wield and he rides a brown dragon. This one I'm so torn on
Okay.
because of Riddick being able to freeze water inside bodies.
Okay.
But if Riddick turns out to be Venin, then his brown dragon would no longer
Count. Yep.
count. Rhiannon with her summoning,
Yep.
with her green dragon. And I have Dane and Sloane as a team, and both of their dragons are red.
Yep.
So he's retro cog and she's a siphon. I feel like that's going to work together brilliantly.
Okay.
Imogen, earth wielding, and she's an orange dragon. Are you with me?
Yeah, I'm still with you. Keep going.
Okay, you want to know who the last one is?
Who?
General Melgren. He's the only other rider with a black dragon, and his battle foresight is extremely rare.
So what are you saying? Break it down for me.
What do you mean? What am I saying?
What are you saying?
I'm saying all of these people are going to have to come together against Venin that are their opposite.
You're forgetting the dude that got shadow wielding.
Oh, he just got shadow wielding.
Doesn't matter. He's quite literally.
Does he have a black dragon?
He's Xaden's opposite.
Does he have a black dragon?
I don't think so. No, because it's only Melgren and Violet.
But Violet can't be the black dragon.
Because she's got to be Andarna.
Yes. Because nobody else has an Irid.
Melgren's a dick, though. And if you're talking about opposite, if you're talking about balance, right? You're talking about
shadows balanced by light.
No, but there's been a 1-for-1, right? Mama Sorengale and Theophany. They were quite literally 1-for-1. Yes. So then you got Xaden, who was a Venin, right? And at the start of the book or middle of the book or whatever, that poor freaking kid got shadow powers as well. There's a 1-for-1.
Yeah, his name's Lynx.
Right? Melgren has battle foresight, but Arik can foresee the future. It's 1-for-1. I don't know if the people that are riding those dragons coming together is going to make that much of a difference.
I don't know. I don't know if it's the powers or the dragons themselves.
But it could be both, right? As if Melgren's not a freaking Venin.
Maybe, but where you're going to have to make up another black dragon then?
Violet.
I don't think
if Melgren's a Venin, right? Then Violet on a black dragon is his opposite.
Okay, I'm just going to say this as my granddad would say it. You can't ride 2 horses with one ash.
But she can't ride Andarna.
Well, now she can.
No, she can't. Why can't she? Andarna could never carry.
If we subscribe to the theory that Andarna stopped time and it's been years for her and now she's a fully grown Irid, she's absolutely rideable.
She was never going to be rideable with that wing. Ever. Didn't matter.
But at the end of the book describes her as massive. So I don't know.
Hurry up, Rebecca. Put us out of our misery, for God's sake.
Or another black dragon's just going to come out of nowhere.
Andarna's black.
To a what?
Andarna sees herself as black.
When she wants to. But who knows? Who knows
what's going to happen?
Who knows what's going to happen now that she's fully entrenched in the Irids. Do you know what I mean?
She came out of those shadows black.
But it also said violet.
Yeah, well, so she's a deep, deep violet black. She's because of Tarn. That's the color she sits at.
Well, we'll see. I don't know because so like with the power thing, right? Do you know what color Link's dragon is?
Nah. I have to do a bloody reread.
Yeah. So
Tab the shit out of it this time.
the only other blue dragon that we know of is Arix.
Yeah, okay.
So that would put Xaden against Ark. But how does that work? Because they're not
Arik's dead as a doornail.
because they're not one for well, we don't know. There's a lot about that. There's a lot about him we do not know. There's a lot of his story that hasn't been told yet.
True.
He's very secret.
Yeah. Okay.
We'll see.
We'll see.
But also, if there are only 6, right? So if they only subscribe to the original 6, and Darna and the Irids are the key to giving the Dragon Riders the edge over the Venin, which is also completely possible.
True.
So in that case, you could take Andarna out of the equation and say that Violet's the black dragon.
Told you.
I said, if that's the case. Who knows? We don't know.
We don't know.
See, this is why we don't put theories out on the internet.
Oh, well, too bad. We're doing it now.
Okay.
All right. So what other theories do we think that are just too out there to even be considered? You go first. I have a few.
Garrick has invisibility as a second signet, and it's tied to his jacket.
What? What? You want to run that by me again?
Garrick has invisibility as a second signet, and it's tied to his jacket.
His flight jacket?
Yeah. I'm like, no, because if this were true, he'd be invisible for 3/4 of the entire story.
I don't understand. Was that all? That was all you got? Like,
yeah, that was the whole theory. And I'm like, no.
I 100% think that every single marked one is going to end up with 2 signets. Okay. I think because of their mark and then they get a dragon, they're going to end up with 2 signets. It's just how it is. They were marked by a dragon as kids way before they even jumped into the Riders Quadrant. Oh my God. Blech. Riders Quadrant. So therefore, I reckon they're all going to end up with 2 signets. But it being tied to a flight jacket.
Yeah, that's the part I was like, no.
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 No, sorry.
Okay, so what about you?
Do you know what I'm overhearing about? I'm sick of it. Brennen's a Venin.
He's not a Venin.
It's ridiculous. He's not the Venin. He's
no.
a Venin.
At the start of Iron Flame, I was questioning it because he was being sketch. But by Onyx Storm, I was like, yeah, no.
I'm overhearing about it because it makes 0 sense. Make it make sense to me. How is he a Venin? He wasn't the one that saved himself. It was Naolan. So if anyone's a Venin, it's Naolan. It's not Brennen. Anyway, I've got a theory on that too, but later. I'm overhearing about it. I don't care anymore. Think of something else. You got another one?
Yeah, I got a couple more.
Go for it.
So whoever, if it was either Bodhi or Garrick that turned Venin, they actually are brothers and not cousins or friends.
Oh, yeah, okay. Bodhi and
because of Theophany calling him brother. I could see that only because Xaden's mom is a complete hoe bag. Yeah. And it's completely possible that she hated Xaden's father so much and the contract she was under that she was like, you know what, I'm just going to get a piece on the side.
It doesn't work though because she would have been pregnant. Like the age gap between Bodhi and Xaden, they're in the same year.
Does that mean...
Are you telling me that... Because she stayed for the 10 years, right?
Yeah. Was it 10?
Yeah, she had to stay 10 years. She left him at 10. douche.
Yeah.
You're telling me that she got knocked up with Xaden. It's 9 months of pregnancy, right? So she gets knocked up with Xaden. You can't, the only way you're getting that close is Irish twins.
Or what if they were actual twins?
All right. Well, why wouldn't you have, hey, mate, it's the heir and a spare, right? Wouldn't Finn have gone, yeah, I'll have both my boys? Thanks.
Who knows? Not if these people can be impregnated by two different men at the same time. It's a fantasy world. Anything is possible. Who
Well,
knows?
that's true. I like the one where, so my other one goes along with that, with the brother one. For the love of fucking Christ, people, even Rebecca Yarros has come out and said, dead is dead.
Yes.
Liam is not the other brother. Yes,
He's dead.
Xaden called him his brother. I know. We were all very sad in that scene. I cried. I 100% cried, okay? But even Rebecca Yarros has come out and said, regardless of the fact that they didn't burn his body, they didn't burn his shit, they didn't do this, they didn't do that, dead is dead. He's not a Venin. He's dead. I'm tired of hearing about it. Find another one.
Yeah, I'm over that one too. And this is, I don't even remember where I saw this. I'm pretty sure it was TikTok, but I scrolled because I didn't want to hear the rest of the theory because I was immediately like, oh, hell nah. Jack Barlow is the cure. I was like, no.
Jack Barlow is the cure.
Yeah. And I was like, scroll.
How would that even work?
I don't even know how that would work, but
I personally think
he's the President Snow of this series. He wants to be a Venin. Like, he is all about it.
I personally think that, actually, you know what? I'll go into it in a minute. But yeah, okay. No, he's not the cure. Why would he be the cure?
That's what I thought.
If that's the case, then anyway, you probably should have listened to the rest of it so we could argue that point, man.
I probably should have, but I was immediately just,
You're immediately like, no,
absolutely not.
So my other one is that Xaden and Bodhi, like, you know how you said that they were brothers, all right? They've known this all along. So they knew exactly what was going to happen. They've known from the very start because Bodhi's been Venin from the start. I was like, what? How did you even...
What?
Yeah.
No. Sorry.
Like, how would you get Bodhi being Venin from the start?
No.
I don't understand.
No.
I don't get it.
No. Okay. Do you have any of your own theories that we haven't discussed yet?
Hey, yes, I do.
Okay.
So my first one is, now, stay with me.
Okay.
There are 6, shut up. There are 6 isles.
Yes.
There are 6 gods.
Yep.
For the minute, just stick with me. There are 6 dragon breeds. Stick with me. Just hold it in for a minute.
Okay. I'm holding.
Okay. If you include Navarre and everything with Navarre, that makes 7. Yes?
Yes.
Right. And Andarna then makes 7 dragons. Like 7 breeds of dragons. Yes? So the goddesses that we have are June, the goddess of war, Malik, god of death, Zanil, god of luck. Is it Hideon? That's how I'm pronouncing it. God of wisdom. Now they didn't get to, is it Lyle? The goddess of love.
Yep.
And then we have the queen of the gods, Amari. So if we have, this is just me, if we have a queen of the gods, would it stand to reason that maybe we had a king? And where is said king? We had a missing dragon breed that disappeared. Could we have a missing god? And is that where the imbalance started from?
Possibly.
She's matched everything else. So we're going to have 7 continents, 7 isles, 7 lands, but only 6 gods. And each of those gods have an isle, right?
Mm.
Except Navarre.
But
They each have a land, except Navarre. Navarre has nothing. Navarre has dragons. That's it. And a whole lot of trouble. But every other isle that is dedicated to a god is at peace. All right, they're dumb and stupid and we don't like them, especially everyone that's on that wisdom isle. They're dumbasses. But anyway, I was just like, ooh.
maybe, but 1, 2.
What are you counting now? You're coming at me with receipts, are you?
The continent's broken up into 9.
Are you looking at the map?
9 provinces. But the isles aren't detailed either.
The isles aren't on that map, right?
No, I know.
And yes, the continent is broken up into 9 provinces. But I'm talking about the fact that they go and visit each place. Navarre is still one place.
If that's true, he's probably on the missing isle where the Irids are.
True. Maybe. But I was like, that makes more sense.
Atlantis. Oh, that was funny.
But maybe, but I was like, oh, she's done this quite well. Could we be missing a god? All right.
Okay.
You got one?
Yeah. So my first one is that Xaden's mother and his baby brothers are going to become instrumental in the plot somehow.
I hope his mother gets fucked up and I hope his baby brothers get involved. It'd be nice.
Maybe. I don't know exactly in what way or how it's going to come about, but I feel like we have not seen the last of her or the boys.
I would like the boys to be involved. I think that would be very good for Xaden in the long run if he gets his HEA. I think having actual brothers, because they thought the dragons were cool, if you remember. They thought the dragons were awesome. And they're innocent in all of this. So I would love for them to team up with their big bro. It'd be amazing. His mother, on the other hand, I would CUNT punt that bitch miles away.
I don't know.
Can't stand her.
I understand hating her for the whole contract and leaving him and all of that. But what happened in her residence, she was appalled by. If you remember the scene correctly.
I remember. Yeah, I remember the scene correctly. And she was a little bit upset about the fact that he tried to poison her son. Fuck everybody else. I don't think she gave a rat's ass about them. Stupid bloody Garrick and just shoving it all in his face. Moron. But the way she sat there and was like, oh, but you know, a marriage to Cat would... fuck off, bitch. You don't get to say. You can't say anything.
And I loved it when Mira put her in. Oh, that was...
I was just like, are
epic.
Bitch, are you taking the piss? You're going to sit there and tell your son that a marriage between him and Kat to form an alliance to produce an heir that you want, you don't get a damn say. Yes, the contract was that you only had 10 years and then you could leave. You could have stayed.
Yeah.
But you didn't. You chose to leave. You could have, all right, you might not have been living in a bloody palace and you might not have gotten everything that you wanted, but you would have been near your son. You could have protected him when he needed you the most. But no, you were on some dumbass isle where they've got wisdom, spreading your legs for some other moron. No, I'd punt her.
I also feel like these contractual marriages, we're enraged by them because...
Yes, because we live in the now.
We live in the now, yes. We're enraged by them, but for this world, perhaps it's normal.
It probably is.
And so it's not so shocking. It's not so out of left field. Like, this is what people do. So
I agree with that.
I don't know if she was necessarily coming from a place of malice or just a place of, this is how it's always been done. Why wouldn't you do, like, I had to do it.
I have no issue with, it is not the arranged marriage part to further some genetic line, right? We did that ourselves in our own history. Okay. My issue is the bitch thinks she can have a say in any of it. No, darling. If he wants to marry Kat to further his line, then he gets to make that decision. You don't get to jump in and give your 2 cents worth. You get to shut the hell up.
Oh, I loved when, did you, I don't know if you remember when she's saying all that and Mira interrupts her.
Yeah.
And just
I was like, I love you, Mira.
The shit out of her.
Yeah, I was like, I love you, Mira. You're amazing.
I know, which is why I'm very anyway. Okay, your next one.
So you and I had a bit of a debate about this when we actually did the Onyx Storm one. You were a little bit disappointed by Violet's signet, her second signet.
Yeah.
You're still a little bit disappointed. But I don't think she's a dream walker. I think she's a mind walker. There are instances throughout the book where Violet is in someone's mind while she's awake, while they're awake. The best scene we have for that is the throne scene. She enters Xaden's mind, and everyone's like, but it's the bond. Technically, yes, okay, we're saying that it's a bond that they get to communicate to each other like Sigale and Tarn do, because they're the writers of Sigale and Tarn. Are you telling me that there's never been another mated pair and that those people have been able to communicate the way Xaden and Violet do? I think it's because his second signet is his kind of like an intrinsic, and I think hers is because she's a mind walker. And I think, and I know you don't agree, but I think she is going to be able to do so much shit with this mind walking. So much. To the point where, yes, she will be able to enter someone's mind while she's awake, while they're awake, and just do it naturally. And not only is she going to be able to do that, she's going to be able to convince them to do things, say things,
So
whatever they want.
you are saying that basically she has the gift of mind compulsion in the end.
In the end, I would say that she could walk in and have a nice conversation with someone and then leave, or she could also walk in and go, walk your sorry ass off a cliff, please.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
I don't know if she'll be able to control their mind. Oh, maybe. Ooh.
Also, like, I'm thinking total spirit possession, but instead of spirit possession, like mind possession.
Mind possession.
Yeah.
Exactly. So this kind of ties into my other little thing that I jotted down here, was that everyone has said that, so even Xaden himself has said that intrinsics are killed because they can enter people's minds. They can know your truths, blah, blah, blah. That's not why they were killed. They're 100% killed because all of a sudden they're going to be coming out with, wait, sorry, what? Venin are real? That was why they were killed in the first place. It had zero to do with telling everybody's secrets, right? Because Dane doesn't tell everybody's secrets.
Right.
Yes, he has to touch you to get it, right? But he's not walking around telling everybody's secrets. He wasn't offed. Xaden isn't walking around uncontrollably blurting out everything that people are saying or people are thinking in their minds, right? He's not walking out, going, oh, Alora said that Rose a bitch. Like, he can, but you know what I mean? He can hear that, right? He can hear the intent behind those thoughts, right? He's not walking around so out of his mind, screwing that up. Neither's Violet's not walking around. And she's clearly had this signet for a while. She just hasn't realized. And Andarna didn't tell her. But it was 100% to stop anyone knowing about the Venin and nothing. Because you can't hide that, right? If you've got people that can hear your thoughts or can read your mind or anything like that, you can't hide the fact that Venin are actually real.
Yeah, I could get on board with that part. Look, even though I'm disappointed in her signet a bit,
you can't be. It's the best.
I just thought there were so many places that could have been explored, that could have been a little bit more imaginative. That's all.
Okay. You're talking about someone who can screw around with someone's brain.
Yeah.
What's more imaginative than being like, hey, look, that road continues on. Oh, no, you're not going to walk off a cliff. Oh, shit, you died.
But all that makes me think of is vampires. They can compel people.
Oh, they can compel people to do things.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not saying
what if Violet could fuck with your memories?
I'm not saying, calm down. I'm not saying it's stupid. I'm just saying.
I can't believe you were not excited though. Like it's not computing.
Maybe I will get excited in the next couple of books with what she can do. Imagine. But for the moment, I'm just like, oh, another intrinsic.
If she gets good enough, right? Yes, but with all the other intrinsics, right? Dane's got to touch you and then he can only rifle through your mind for as long as you let him. Violet showed us that when she kicked him out. Xaden can only hear the intent or kind of like questions behind your current train of thought. Imagine someone being able to go into your mind, right? And rifle with your memories. So she could change any memory she wanted, manipulate it into however she wanted it to be. Or she can walk her ass, if she gets good enough, into the mind of Jack Barlow. Jack's hiding something. We know Jack is hiding something.
He's the cure.
And fucking ain't that. But we know that Jack is hiding something, right? As if she couldn't walk her sorry ass. She can sit there and give the dickhead as much fucking stuff that he wants to suck the power out of so he can feel better. But in the end, she can just sit there and go, Jack, you've got two options. Option one, you tell me what I want to know, right? And we maybe try and figure out a way to help you. Or option two, I'm going to head my sorry ass into your mind. I'm going to fuck around with your brain. I'm going to get the answers I want. And then for shits and giggles, I don't know, maybe I'll give you a little bit of pain. Maybe I screw with some of your memories. Maybe I make it so your life is now a living hell.
Mm.
Because if she gets good enough, could she not get all the answers she needs from the Venin if she can walk into their minds or into the minds of the dragons even?
If we're going with along this line, so let's assume that Violet gets her pure power from Tarn.
Yep.
Right? And her second signet comes from Andarna.
Yep.
Andarna can stop time. And she's got this mind walking ability. Could she just start making zombies? Like,
maybe.
Do you know what I mean? Like it would need to pair somehow.
She could even get good enough to have Venin fight Venin.
And you're also going to need a Venin that has that same balance. Maybe. Unless Andarna's on the outside.
There is a Venin that can do it. It's the Sage or the mate or whatever the one is that was visiting Xaden. Because they weren't having dreams. He was there telling Xaden that he was going to turn for love. Right? Mm. He was in his dream. So she's already got her match, which is him. Other people are also saying he's the only one that's going to be able to teach her how to use it.
Well, we'll see.
All right. Have you got another one?
Okay. Dane is going to get a hell of a redemption arc, and I'm shipping him and Sloane.
Yes.
Full send.
100%.
Like, by the next book, everybody's going to be a Dane girly.
I was just like, eyes here. And I was like, oh, Dane. Okay, my eyes are on you. What do you want?
Yeah, I feel like... Yeah, I'm ready for it.
Hi, Daddy Dane.
And listen, it's just as Rebecca said. He's a kid who trusted his dad, who was a POS, and he didn't know it.
See, I disliked Dane, right? I was tired of the whinging. I was like, come on, Dane, shut up now. It's not working. You're not getting what you want. So just stop. Just fucking stop.
Yeah, but as somebody who's chronically ill, I absolutely understood why she made him that way. Because that is a thing.
I get it. I 100% get it, right? It's not that. I was just like, oh, stop your whining. I did. Dude, she's not listening, okay? She's not. Pick another approach. Find another way to get your point across because you constantly whining at her is not working. You're driving her into the arms of the dude you don't want her with. Stop. I didn't hate the dude though. Because I did. I understood. This is his best friend. This was someone that he could probably see himself with, marrying kids, all the rest of that. They had been through so much together. He was extremely worried about her and her life and her surviving because, it's basically in their kill or be killed, right? So I got it. It was just the whining that pissed me off. So I didn't hate him. I didn't hate Dane. I just liked him and I was like, oh, for fuck's sake, not Dane again, shut up. but I didn't hate him.
I only hated him when he rifled through her brain.
So I was about to say, where he fully lost me and where I was like, dude, I don't care about you. You're not a character that I even love to hate anymore. You're just an asshole. It was when he rifled through her brain and fucked everything up and Liam died because, this is your fault, Dane.
Yeah.
But what a redemption arc if he's to be with Sloane. Oh, that's just eyes here. And I was just like, yes, Daddy Dane.
Okay. What's your next one?
So this ties back into my ridiculous bullshit ones where I'm like, I'm over it. Stop saying that. It's Naolan that's the Venin.
Oh, yeah. I think that you're right.
It's Naolan. And it's why Tarn will not speak about him.
Mm.
And I think that is why Tarn is so, so angry with Xaden.
Yeah.
Because I don't know why everyone's like, it's Brennen that's the Venin. It can't be Brennen. It can't be because Brennen didn't fucking save himself. It was Naolan that saved him.
Yeah, and he siphoned too much.
And to get enough power to save. Now, I look, I don't know if they were best friends, lovers, whatever. For whatever reason, Naolan saved him. And I'm 100% sure that he siphoned to do it.
Mm.
He reached burnout and he was like, I'm not going to let him die. So he took from the earth. And that is why I think that is why Tarn won't talk about him. And why he's so mad at Xaden and Sigale. I also think that he might be the dude, the Maven, whatever rank it is that's in Xaden's dreams.
Could be.
Yeah, I reckon it's him because he kept saying to Xaden, you will turn for love. You'll do it. You'll turn for love. Because I think that's why Naolan did it. That's just my theory.
Okay, last but not least.
Have I got more than you this time? Ah!
Yeah. Someone else we really love is going to meet a horrific end. And my theory on this is it's either going to be Mira or it's going to be Dane after his redemption arc and love story.
Ooh. Now, Rebecca can't do that to another man. No, I'm sorry. Sorry, what? No.
I'm afraid it's going to be Mira because Brennan's already died and all that. And him dying again, it'll be like, oh, you know what I mean? Like it won't have as much
the same impact.
Yeah.
I don't know if you could do that to Sloane. Sloane's lost her brother.
No, she won't do it with Sloane because
no, but that's no. I'm
Liam.
saying I don't know if you can take Dane, right?
Yeah.
Because of what? Because of Liam.
I don't know.
That girl's been through enough, right? I'm not sure whether.
But Mira is my number one contender.
I can see Mira and I can see the impact and I can see the reasoning behind it and I can understand it. And I would be devastated if Mira died. But I think that would hold more impact with readers. You take Dane, especially if he has his redemption arc and then him and Sloane have a relationship. I don't know.
My other theory there is if Rhiannon is not as instrumental as we think she is, it could also be her.
Yeah, I can see. And I feel like those deaths, like Rhiannon and Mira, would have a bigger impact than because if you took Dane away from Sloane after you took Liam away from Sloane and everybody else, I think that's just nasty. It's got no plot impact. Stop laughing, but it's got no plot impact, no impact on character development, right? Because Sloane is already struggling. Sloane is devastated after the loss of her brother.
And I'm not even going to speak it into the ether because it better
if
ever
you say
not
his
happen.
name, I will be so mad at you.
No, I'm not saying it, but
good. Don't say it.
I'm just saying.
Yes, if you want to talk about impact.
If you want to talk about impact,
that guy would give some impact. I would. Now, you know what I'm like with my books, any books, even books I don't like, but I swear to God, I would drop kick that book so hard.
Mm.
Okay, so that's your last one?
Yep.
Ooh, so my ones now. Okay, so my other one is what if Violet and Xaden are reincarnations of June and Malik and they're here to try and restore balance? Hey, I want to go out there, right? I went, you know what? If I'm going down the hole, I'm gonna go all the way down and just bring out some shit from left field.
A question. Remind me, Dune is the
Goddess of
what?
War.
Goddess of war. I don't
Because in
think
every
I don't
go.
think war and death balance each other out.
No, they don't. But hear me out. So I think that's why it would be interesting to read. Because yes, I'm tired of love and death balancing each other out, light and dark balancing each other out. How many times have we read that?
Mm.
I don't care for it. But they've both got a connection to both of those gods.
Maybe, but yeah, I don't know.
Anyway,
I would more lean towards they've been touched by those deities or blessed. You know what I mean? Like
yeah, okay.
that kind of thing. I don't know if I'd go so far as to say they're reincarnated.
Fine, then they have a massive connection to them. Well, we both agree that Liam was there. 100%. Liam
Yep.
was there. It just makes me think that there's more of a connection, more of a physical, spiritual, but you know what I mean? It's not this whole, oh, there's a connection there. I'm talking like a proper pathway. Pathway.
I feel like there's more to the story there with Violet and the gods because I think that she's been blessed by each and every one of them.
Yeah, I'm worried if that's just giving her too much power. Whether she's the imbalance.
And then she's got to go.
Well, maybe. Because let's be honest, right? There was that last part where they were fighting and we'd all figured it out that she'd been to each of those isles. Her dad had been to each of those isles. He dedicated her to every god that there was, trying to fix her. I just feel like you might have just given her too much. And she's got two dragons. And one of her signets is pure power. And one of her signets is being able to walk the fuck into your mind and be like,
yeah, but she's the chosen one. That is the chosen one trope through and through.
If we're talking about balance, though, right? So the whole problem is that the Venin, everything is out of balance because the Venin are pulling from the earth. They're draining it of its life force. If you're talking about balance, if she beats said big ass, badass Venin, then she is the imbalance. You know what I'd like to see, though? This is one of my other little side notes. Is I'd like to see, so I have two more. This is one of them. I'd like to, this is just, putting it out there. But what if you didn't fix Xaden? I think it would be quite interesting to read where you can't fix him, but he's got this little bit of his soul that's still, like, he's still able to see reason. And then
do you know what I'm hearing from you
What?
is I want dark fantasy fanfics that are Dramini-esque. That's all.
write it.
That's all I'm hearing from you.
Xaden is the Venin. Yes. That would be some wicked ass. That would be some wicked ass fanfic right there. That's good. I like it. How good would that be?
Morally gray, what can I say?
No, but he wouldn't be morally grey. He'd be just pitch black, basically.
But he's got a little bit of his soul.
For Violet. That's it. No, but you know what I'm saying? Like, it would be interesting to see because the Irid said there is no cure. There's no cure. It would be interesting to see if we could get.
But the dragons are lying.
That's my next point. So it would be interesting to see if he just stayed a Venin. There's your balance. You've got Violet with all her power, the chosen one, blah, blah, blah. And you got Xaden. They balance each other out.
But why are these dragons lying?
So
like if there's a cure, so okay. So my brain just went to if the dragons are lying and there is a cure for Venin, then my brain went to why would they keep them from that? That would tie in to that other theory about pulling power from the sky. And essentially, if the Venin are cured, then they have no way to deplete the planet to return to the sky alone.
So my next thing is that we do know, and Rebecca's confirmed, that some of the dragons have been lying about their names. That's been confirmed.
Yes, I saw that as well. Yep.
Yeah. Right. So it's interesting to know why. At the start of Fourth Wing, the name of your dragon is a very, like, big thing. You don't tell anybody else, except they write it down in a fucking ledger. Why? It makes no sense. You got to walk up and whisper the name of your dragon to this person that's writing it down in a ledger. And then all of a sudden, you just start using the name and everyone starts talking about the names of these dragons. And okay, why the big fucking secrecy then? And if you're lying about your names, why? What's your name got to do with it? And the only thing I can think of, yeah, go.
Oh, I was gonna say the only thing that makes sense there is the ones that are bonded to the
Quest Squad.
No, the marked ones. The dragons that are bonded to the marked ones would lie about their name because they're only supposed to have one signet. So whatever signet they manifest also reflects on the power their dragon gives them. And all of their names align with the signets that we know about.
Okay, yes, because there is that whole thing that they're getting the second signet. That Xaden has a second signet because Sigale was his grandfather's?
Mm-hmm.
Grandfather's dragon.
Mm.
So are you saying that all of the dragons for the marked ones are relatives of the marked one? So that's why they're all getting second signets.
Could be, or it could be just their mark.
But then that doesn't make any sense, right? Because everyone knows Sigale's name and they know that she was Xaden's grandfather's dragon because they're not allowed to bond with someone in a direct line or direct descendant or something.
Mm.
Either way.
But you've got Bodhi and Garrick you've got other characters that are getting second signets that are not bonded to dragons that bonded to previous family members.
Who?
Garrick and Imogen for a start.
Are bonded to dragons that have been bonded to family members previously? Or is it their signet?
No, they have second signets. But I never read anywhere where their dragons also had been bonded with previous family members, allowing them to have second signets.
That's why I think it has nothing to do with previous family members bonding the same dragon and everything to do with their signets because they've already been marked by a dragon.
No, that's what we are saying the same thing.
Okay, so then my point is, why the fuck are you lying about your name?
Okay, that's what I was trying to explain to you.
Okay, go.
If these marked ones are only supposed to have one signet in the academy because that's the norm, right?
Yeah.
It would make sense that they would lie about their names to align with the signets that these guys are showing outwardly. Because all of the dragon names align with the signets that originally appear.
Yes.
Are you following me?
Yeah, I'm following you, but I don't think that that's a good enough reason or plot point.
It would be if it was in protection of the marked ones.
But then, what the hell's Melgan's dragon's name? He would know.
Who?
Melgan's dragon's name. Because it was Melgan's dragon that marked them all. He was the one that marked all the kids. He would know that they are getting a second signet because, like, all the other dragons are lying to protect them.
Not necessarily.
Why not? How would he not know?
He's got battle foresight. He doesn't have magical
Not Malgren.
foresight.
I'm talking about his dragon. Not Malgren.
Okay.
I'm talking about Malgren's dragon. Co-
Coda.
I don't think that's how you pronounce it, but sure.
Well, that's how I pronounce it because I don't know all the proper language. Anyways,
I feel like so there's all this crap about the dragons from the Empyrean series not being controlled by humans, and we're not privy to half the shit that they know, and they don't tell people. They don't fill people in. You got to try and figure everything out for yourselves, right? I feel like there's some major shit that they're lying their asses off about, not just their names, because it makes no sense. If you are fighting a common enemy, which is Venin and Wyvern, why are you not telling your riders all the information that you have?
yeah, I don't know. But as far as the name thing is concerned, Rebecca wasn't specific in, like, she said they're lying and they're lying about their names. But does that mean that every dragon knows every other dragon's actual name?
That's what I mean.
But how do we know that that's the case? We don't know that.
But Tarn's been around for 100 years.
And
So you're telling me that the dragons that are 90 years old don't know his name? Of course they fucking do. Why lie about it? It doesn't make any sense. And here's another thing. The age from Sigale to Tarn and their relationship also doesn't make any sense. She's meant to be, I don't know. I'd like to go back and reread it, but she's meant to be like 50 years younger than him or some shit. Doesn't that make her still like a kid?
no, not if they live for eons.
But she's younger than he is, which means that if she's 50 years younger than him, that puts her, if he's 100, that puts her at 50. Shouldn't she still be a kid in dragon years? Like dog years, but in reverse.
I wouldn't think so when your lifespan is thousands of years.
That would mean that you'd grow up slower, not faster.
I don't know if I agree with that. Depends how you weave the world.
True. I'm just saying something's not right there. I don't think they're just lying about their names. Because, yeah, it doesn't make any sense. If you're fighting a common enemy, your common goal is to get rid of the wyvern because they're trying to get to your hatching grounds to drain the life out of you, everything around you, and your hatchlings, all those eggs. Why in God's name are you not giving the people that are there to help you? You're giving them powers, you're giving access to magic, so to speak. Why are you not giving them all the information they need to destroy these beings? It doesn't make any sense.
Well, it goes back to what I said before. Like maybe they don't want the Venin gone for one reason or another. Which that's again what I said about how that would tie back in with the theory of magic really comes from the sky and the dragons want to return to the sky. So if the earth gets depleted by the Venin, they'll be free.
But their young will be dead.
Like they can't mate again.
Yeah, but like, I don't know. It just, it all seems a little bit, they talk about, that the dragons won't bond with a worthless human being. Hello, Jack Barlow.
Yeah.
And he got bonded. So that doesn't make any sense. And Varish? Varish was just dick. His dragon was a dick.
Yeah, but I was getting ready to say, but just because, what a dragon finds worthy depends on their own personality and their own.
Well, then don't be sitting there saying that you're better than humans and we don't get to have a say in your shit, mate. If you've got a bunch of wanker dragons, then you don't get to pass judgment on puny little humans just because, you're like 300 foot tall. Piss off.
Yeah, I'd like to know more. I really hope that more comes out about, because I know there's more to the story with why the Irids walked away. like why they've remained hidden, why they don't want anything to do with the rest of the dragons and they just want to be left in peace. Like something fucking happened.
So, yeah, we can definitely agree that something happened. Here's the thing, I'm not sure who's right.
And that's the
Because,
fun of it.
well, it is, but because that's where you get all this information from, right? It's like we got the image of the Irids and we were like, you're a bunch of dicks. You're a bunch of tree hugging hippies who have zero concept of what's actually going on around you. Stop puffing on the dragon, right? and just like use your brain for 5 minutes. But then you've got dragons like Varish's dragon, where you're like, you're a dick. Why are you being a dick? Do you know what I mean? So which side is in the right? The Irids left because they weren't happy with the violence and the fighting and the blah blah blah, which was what they said. But at the same time, you left some bullshit excuse of we're going to leave an egg here, and we gave you the way to fix it by creating the wards. Well, you didn't fix the problem. You pushed it aside, but you didn't fix it.
No, I feel like there was a massive falling out. Like something happened huge that we don't know about between the Irids and the rest of the dragons.
But then where do the Griffin Riders come in? Because the story goes that the Griffin Riders, there were the three brothers. One got a dragon, one got a griffin, one got nothing. And he got pissed because he didn't have a signet, or one of the Griffin Riders called it. Fuck, I don't know. Can't remember. I really need to do a reread. But because he didn't get power, he decided to pull the power from the earth. That was the story, right? In Violet's fairy tale book, that was the story. And in that story, you could assume that part of that story says that the dragons are the ones that are the bad guys. Maybe that's Wyvern. But if you're writing that story, you know the difference between a wyvern and a dragon. So you wouldn't be saying that the dragons are the bad ones. You'd be saying that it's the wyvern. And then where does the Griffin Riders come in? Or are they just plotting along?
I feel like the Griffin Riders are like the middle child.
I was just thinking that.
They're definitely underappreciated. They're trying so hard to get noticed for their efforts. Like they're going through the whole look at me.
Look what I did, Mom.
Yeah, please pay attention. Yeah, so I see them as the middle children, which I like how Rebecca has been building the Griffin Riders parallel and separate to the dragon riding story, because I feel like they're going to become their own subplot, because now we are invested because Kat finally left Xaden alone. But
no, but we like some of the Griffin Riders. I like some of them.
Yeah, now we're invested in some of the Griffin Riders. And so I hope that they get their own subplot story arc and they become instrumental somehow.
Yeah. Get noticed by mom and dad.
Yeah. Get the attaboy that they're so desperately searching for.
I must admit, I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, poor buddy Griffin Riders. They're just like, good job. You did well. Oh, look at your big brother.
Yeah. And they're constantly having to be carried and
they're at a disadvantage and they can't do altitude and they can't do this. And
poor guys. Oh.
And the older and the younger siblings are the ones that got all the power and everything like that. The younger ones are a bunch of bastards who, like terrorize everybody. And the older ones like, yeah, look at me. I'm so good.
Yeah. The older sibling, I would say, are the dragon riders.
Yeah, 100%.
And the babies are the Venin.
No, the Venin little demon bastards.
Because they're entitled.
Well done, Rebecca. and every middle child sitting there reading this book going, yeah, all right. Way to just ignore me.
I'm definitely a Griffin rider. God damn it. That was
Oh,
funny.
poor middle child. But anyway, that's all from me. I just think that, yeah, the dragons are, there's more going on there than we know.
Oh, definitely. Super sus and very shady.
Yeah.
Okay, well, it's that time again. Drink time, cocktail
Woo!
time. All right, today's drink is all about the dragons. It's called Dragon's Breath Elixir, and it is brought to you by bargpt.com. And here's what you'll need: ingredients: 2 ounces of rye whiskey, 1 ounce dragon fruit puree, 3/4 of an ounce of fresh lemon juice, half an ounce of honey syrup, 1-to-1 ratio of honey and water, 2 dashes of Angostura bitters, 1 pinch of cayenne pepper, and I would make that a very small pinch
Very small pinch.
if I were
Yep.
you. Edible glitter if you want to add a magical shimmer, which you can buy at lots of local liquor stores, and ice. For garnish, a lemon twist and a dragon fruit slice. And you're going to need a coupe glass. Instructions: fill a cocktail shaker with ice, add rye whiskey, dragon fruit puree, fresh lemon juice, honey syrup, Angostura bitters, and a small pinch of cayenne pepper to the shaker. Shake vigorously until well chilled. Double strain the mixture into a chilled coupe glass to remove any pulp and ice shards that you may not want in your drink. Add a small pinch of edible glitter to the drink and gently stir to give it that magical shimmer. Garnish with your lemon twist and your dragon fruit slice on the rim of the glass. Serve immediately and embark on a fantastical journey.
It looks
And
actually super nice.
yeah, it looks really nice in the picture.
All right, huge thank you to all the bibliomaniacs out there listening. Please stop by our Instagram page, The Plot with a Twist, and check out the link tree in our bio where you can find links to us across the internet, including all our social media and most recently our video episodes on YouTube, including our website, shop, and Facebook group. Give us a like or a follow so that you can stay up to date with episode releases and product launches from our book merch shop. We appreciate your support from the bottom of our hearts. Every little bit counts. Tune in next week for another all-new bookish episode full of magic, mayhem, and maybe just a little bit of smart. Until then, keep reading.